Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm here to do week 2's check-in, and I wanted to quickly just kind of go through the things that I use for budgeting, just for those of you guys who may be new or who wonder kind of what I use. So this is an Erin Condren Monthly Deluxe Planner. I will have everything linked down below. I did start this one in July, so it will go until June, but you can also get them for 2019, so starting in January, which would be good.
Hello.
Hi, Mace. Are you coming to visit with me?
Yeah.
So I got the rose gold coil. The nice thing about these planners is that you can snap in and out the covers. So I recently changed this, which is really nice. And hi, I have a little helper here. Can you go like this? Can you show your fingers? Come here. Oh, I got a little helper with me today. Here, right here. Say hi. Hi. All right, cutie.
All right, Mace, come here.
Go with Dada.
No.
So this is also the smaller version. Erin Condren has 2 different versions. This is like the 7x9, and then I think there's also like an 8.5 by 11. I personally really like the smaller version just because I don't need as much room, but for those of you guys who may have a ton of sinking funds or a really full budget, you might want the bigger option. So it is very nice that they give you that option. You also can choose between the colorful and the neutral. I chose the colorful just because I try and use as little stickers as possible in here. So that's kind of my setup for my budget planner. As for my planner folio that I use again another small one, and I don't always coordinate my covers with them, but I really like this one, so I picked this up a couple orders ago. So basically inside it's really nothing special, but I have some items that I love keeping in here. And the nice thing about this folio is that you can kind of make it work for you. So I don't use one of these for my like everyday planning, but I do use it for my budget because I want everything that I'm going to need to do my budget in one place. Instead of having my budget planner and then having to go and find my expense tracking stickers or go pull my checkbook or stamps, now instead of making a ton of trips into my office to get everything, I have everything as soon as I pull, you know, this with me. So right here in the front pocket, the front left pocket, I have a bunch of address labels. These are also from Erin Condren. Obviously I can't show those, but that's that. And then I have my checkbook right behind it. In this smaller section, I have some receipts for like YouTube expenses that I'm just holding on to before I like transfer them over. I have stamps, and then in the larger one, I have all of my Planner Kate expense tracking stickers. So if you guys saw my key, you know I use red for unbudgeted. Green is like a catch-all, so if there's something that I'm budgeting for, but it doesn't have like a category sticker, then I combine it. So for example, if Macy needed diapers, I would use green. If we budgeted haircut for haircuts, and if it wasn't included in my cash clips, then it would be here. If we budgeted for like a baseball game or something, it would be using green. So it's really just for random stuff that kind of comes up. Yellow is for gas. And then pink is for groceries. That's the one that I use the most. And then blue is for bills. But I have to be honest, sometimes I forget to put the bills in because I pay the bills and I don't know, I guess it doesn't make sense because I still need to like record them in my budget, but eventually I end up remembering. And then I of course just have an extra thing of grocery stickers because we go through those the most. And then the last thing in here in this pocket is some envelopes. There really aren't a ton of times where we don't get a bill with an envelope to send it back. But back when I had my car payment, I did have to do it that way. So that's what's included in the front. And then tucked behind where I also keep my planner, I have a notebook. This is one of the ones from Erin Condren. It's just a notepad. And you can tell I've used it quite a bit. I like to use this as like a rough draft spot. So I do our budgets here as a rough draft. I also do our sinking funds here for a couple of reasons. One, it makes my videos so much easier if I have everything planned out ahead of time and I'm not trying to figure it out and make it work as we go. But also because I like to get an idea of what we're gonna save and let Jason know and kind of see if there's anything that he thinks that we need a budget for and stuff like that. So that's kind of my whole setup. I don't talk about it every time, but I'm gonna try and be a little bit better about letting you guys know the stuff that I use and what works for me, because that's kind of the whole point of this for me showing you guys, is so you have an idea of what works for me and hopefully you can kind of implement it to make it work for you. So that's my setup. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's happened so far and we can kind of go from there. I will try and have everything linked down below, so I will try and have everything that I mentioned and also the Planner Kate stickers that I use. I know a lot of people have questions about those and for some reason it seems like it's hard to find, so I'll try and leave direct links down below. So this week we had a few things that were unbudgeted. I kind of got to the point where I could not stand mine or Macy's hair, so I decided, okay, it's haircut time. And honestly, it happens like that almost every time I cut my hair. I don't do it very often. I know that's probably not the way you should do it, but honestly, I think it was a whole year since I cut my hair. Again, I know that's probably not like the healthiest thing to do, but it's kind of always what I've done. And we've never cut Macy's hair. So both of our hair was really long. Macy's hair was getting really like nasty at the ends. It was really tangly all the time. And I was just kind of getting sick of redoing our hair multiple times per day. So we got haircuts. Macy's haircut is adorable. I really like my haircut. So those are the couple things right here that are unbudgeted. We also had our tolls replenished. That's like an iPass through Illinois, so that was $20 that was unbudgeted. And then we had a bunch of grocery trips and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and add up the groceries. So we went over to a friend's house for dinner on Saturday and I brought over dessert, so that was $13.22. We also went to Jewel, that was $55.76, Aldi $39.32, and then an other of $43.99. So that brings us to a total of $152.29. We had a remaining of $288.03 last week. So that means that we have $135.74. So I like to give us about $100 per week for groceries, so we're obviously over. And there might be a point somewhat soon where we need to increase our grocery budget. I've kind of been putting it off just because I feel like recently kind of the stuff that we've been doing has been not normal. It's not something that we always do, but there might come a point where I need to budget in more for times where we have people over or we're bringing food somewhere, so we'll kind of see. But for now, we're doing fine. I've mentioned this 100 times, but groceries is one aspect of our budget where I don't care if we're over. I would like to try and stick to a somewhat decent you know, amount for that, but you know, I'm not going to not have people over just to save money. That's like the part of our like weekends that I enjoy the most, is having people over and spending time with family and friends. So that is completely okay, and hopefully there's other aspects of our budget where we can kind of cut back on as well. So we included those couple of things, and we did not actually fill up on gas at all, which is kind of surprising, but good. I don't think we've been driving as much. So we have nothing in terms of gas, which is completely fine by me. So we have 70, 25 remaining. You're gonna notice I did not put eating out on here. I don't know if I'm gonna do this every week or if I'm just gonna kind of pick and choose when I kind of check in for eating out. We've been doing something new with our cash clips where like we only keep money for that week in our wallets. So we never really have an issue with running out of eating out money. So I feel like every week I'm just like, okay, we have $40 less. So for now, I'm not gonna include it, but there might be a point where I do include it again. We'll kind of see. So then for unbudgeted, we have the haircuts and the tolls. I think I might have mentioned this before, but I'm not completely sure. So that ends up being $87 for the 3 of those. I'm always trying to think of ways to kind of even out our budget as much as we can. And I think in November I will be adding a few more sinking funds because why not? You know, I feel like I seriously feel like every month I add at least one sinking fund. So this in November, I think what I'm gonna add a sinking fund for is tolls. I do need to get another iPass, and that's kind of the reason why we've been replenishing so often. Let me see, September, I'm pretty sure we did it as well in September. iPass, yeah. So it's like every month we're adding more to it, which is completely fine. But I know the reason why we're doing it so often now is because with the iPass, we have it in one car, and so the other car is connected, but they get charged full price after a certain amount of time, after a certain number of times that you go through. So I need to get a new iPass, or I need to get another iPass for the car that doesn't have one so that we stop doing that. But I would really like to get an iPass, a new iPass, and I would like to add a sinking fund for I cannot talk today, for tolls, so that instead of it being unbudgeted, we just have a sinking fund. I'll probably put like $20 in it every month, and that way, if we do use it as often as we've been doing it, then it's completely fine, it's budgeted. If not, then it kind of adds up, and then when we go on a trip to go see like family or something, and there's a lot of tolls on the way, we have money saved for that. I also really want to make a sinking fund for entertainment. I did mention last week that we do have a category in our budget for a game that we're going to, actually this upcoming weekend. And I included Topgolf in that because I knew the tickets were going to be less than what I expected them to be, which is good, but we don't like to say no to activities. We don't do them very often. We don't go and hang out with friends that often because we have a kid and I'm studying and everything like that. But I would really like to have a sinking fund for when we go do fun activities so that we don't have to like question like, oh, we're gonna be over budget. Oh, did we budget for this? You know what I mean? And also fun activities for Macy and Jason. So if they wanna go see a movie, if they wanna go downtown and go to the aquarium or something, it's not a thought like, oh, how are we going to budget for that? Is that budgeted? It's more of like, okay, we have money set aside for this, we're gonna go do it. So that's kind of my thought with that. Those are a couple things that I want to add in November. The nice thing about budgeting and the way that I kind of do it is I don't care so much about unbudgeted. I was so sick and tired of mine and Macy's hair that I'm like, you know what? I don't care if it's unbudgeted. It needs to happen now. And I literally got it done that day for both of us because I could not stand like dealing with either of our hair anymore. But the nice thing about budgeting is that one, you kind of make it your own. So for me, I know things come up, but unbudgeted is completely just a category in our budget. I don't care if we are over a ton. I don't care if we're under a ton. As long as we're not going crazy and buying like stuff that we don't need, I don't necessarily care. But at the same time, every month is a new fresh start. And if you notice that something's not working, you notice that you are spending more money than what you budget, then you can change it. So it's really a working budget. It's not like a set in stone type of thing. So anyway, so far I think we're doing pretty well in the month. Not too crazy with anything. For those of you guys who are wondering really quickly, when we are over budget, so for these couple items, I think so far in October, we're just over by $87. A lot of people ask me this, what do you do when you're over by $87? So I don't set my whole budget around the $0 thing. I've talked about this before. I do definitely agree with some of Dave Ramsey's concepts, but with some of them I don't necessarily agree with. And in our account, we have a buffer. In our checking account, we have a buffer. So when things like this happen, when your $87 is spent, but you don't necessarily have it in your budget, it's not that big of a deal because I have a set amount of money in that account, and it's there for these reasons. So basically, when we spend $87 over, that means we save $87 less. That's kind of how I think about it. But it doesn't mean that we're not saving anything. It doesn't mean that we're dipping into our savings. It just means we're saving less. A lot of people ask me, do you do the sinking funds and do you also save money? Whatever we do not use every month goes into savings. We definitely do have savings. We're still working on our emergency fund, so we are definitely adding to savings. But the more money that you put into your sinking funds and into other budget categories, obviously you're saving less. So I try and only add things that I feel like are somewhat necessary or that I know that will definitely come up. But with the kids and, you know, and with life in general, things do come up. So hopefully we'll get to our emergency fund. Hopefully we'll get that done pretty soon. But it's also really important to make sure that everything else that you're working on is also getting funded. So anyway, I feel like I've explained like our entire budget process, but hopefully that makes sense to you guys. If you have any questions, try and leave them down below and I'll try and get back to you guys as soon as possible. Thanks guys, bye.